Welcome back to Gold Derby. The Oscar nominations are out this morning, and we had some shocking surprises, a lot of snubs, at least above the line. Below the line went pretty smooth, but we're going to talk about it. I'm Denton Davidson, senior editor at Gold Derby, and I'm here with my colleagues, Marcus James Dixon, Chris Beachum, Daniel Montgomery. And I want to go to Best Actress first, because the last time the four of us got together, we were talking about how Lady Gaga was the only one who had all of the precursors she needed to get this Best Actress nomination. And here we are, there's no Lady Gaga. Kristen Stewart came roaring back, and Penelope Cruz slipped in there. And just so I don't miss anything, I want to read off the nominees. It's Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman in The Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz in Parallel Mothers, Nicole Kidman in Being the Ricardos, and Kristen Stewart in Spencer. So Daniel, I'll start off with you. What is the state of this race at this point?
Confused. This feels similar to last year, where it feels like every tea leaf is reading something different, except in this case, it's the nominations and not every place having a different winner yet. We haven't seen who wins Critics' Choice yet, or SAG yet, or BAFTA yet. So we'll see if things start to streamline around one or two contenders. We'll definitely have different probably BAFTA and SAG winners, because I think those two events only have Lady Gaga in common, and I think she's not likely to win either of those. And what's interesting is that there are no Best Actress nominees in Best Picture nominated films, so that doesn't give us any guidance either. The most nominations for Best Actress film are Being the Ricardos, which has 3 acting nominations, and what's the other one? Lost Daughter, which has a supporting actress and adapted screenplay. So I think it's Nicole, but again, this is still wide open.
Marcus, where are you at?
I'm not confused at all in this race. The very first nomination that was read out today by Leslie Jordan and Tracy Ellis Ross was Jessie Buckley. And as soon as that nomination popped up, I said, okay, Olivia Colman's winning. We always talk about the coattail person that in supporting that comes along for the ride because they love the lead performance so much. And that was Jessie Buckley getting in for supporting to support her lead, Olivia Colman. Even though they didn't share the screen together, they actually played the same character. So I think this is Olivia Colman's to win. And even if Lady Gaga would have been nominated, which it's kind of crazy that she wasn't, I still think this would be Olivia Colman's.
You could say the same thing about J.K. Simmons getting that coattail nomination, by the way.
You could. So just take away everything I just said.
Chris, where are you at?
I don't know. The prediction center is open. We got that thing launched really fast. Every single contender had a contender page, candidate page. So it didn't take long to build that today. But anyway, and I think an hour ago, just 2 hours in, we already had 700 people predicting. And by the way, we had 9,700 people predict nominations since we started last July. So that's a good bit more than last year. You know, the 5 ladies that I had written down that did not get in could have made a great lineup in another year. Lady Gaga, Amelia Jones, Alana Haim, Jennifer Hudson, Rachel Zegler. I mean, that could have been a good lineup of its own. I think I put Olivia Colman in first when I opened the prediction center. We're all so sleepy, you just can't even imagine. I don't remember a lot that happened 2 hours ago. I could see Nicole Kidman. The Actors Branch obviously really embraced that movie, although it got in nowhere else. I'm sort of pulling for Jessica Chastain. I think she's the most overdue. And she did get it, her movie did get in for makeup and hair, which shows just a little bit of more. Remember, now that the branches have voted, the whole Academy votes for this next round. So and acting, you know, so the makeup and hair people in this case are also voting for actress, and so are the screenplay people, which helps somebody like maybe Olivia Colman. So I think it's one of those 3. I don't think. Let's see. I don't think Penelope's actually winning, although I did predict her. That was I had all 5 in that category. I got those 5 right. I want to, we have 7 weeks, so I want to think about this some more and some more and some more. Marcus brought up some good points. I don't think it's going to be Nicole. I think I've interviewed Nicole a bunch of times, love her to death. I would like to see her win a second in her career. I think the role was just a little bit polarizing. So I think she's lucky that they don't rank in this category, because she might get a lot of 1s and she might get a lot of 5s if it was a ranked category like picture. So anyway, that's kind of where I stand right now.
So wait, Chris, you still had Kristen Stewart in your predictions after she missed all those other places?
See, this printout here is so light in some places. No, I had Lady Gaga. You're right.
Okay, because I do think Rob, like her,
I did have 5 in some category, but I'll have to figure out what it was.
I'll give Rob credit. I think he kept Kristen Stewart in even after she kept missing. And I'm like, oh, you're crazy for keeping her in.
I thought it was those 6. I wasn't buying the Amelia, Alana, Rachel. I did think it was probably Jennifer Hudson or whoever we just said. We are so sleepy.
Yeah, Kristen Stewart did stay
Kristen Stewart, yeah,
in the top 6 in our odds right until the end. She was in the top 5 until Alana Haim overtook her.
Well, her biggest issue, unlike Jessica Chastain that we just talked about, is Stewart got no other nominations.
Mhm.
I just think it shows the lack of support for her. She's probably, if I'm guessing, in 5th place to win, and she was in 1st forever. Remember?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
The
Penelope's
nomination
in an
is a good
interesting.
win. Yeah,
Penelope's. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say that Lady Gaga not getting in, she's already an Oscar winner for Shallow. She has the Best Actress nomination for A Star is Born 2. So she already had that appended to her name. I'm glad that Kristen Stewart can now be called Academy Award nominee Kristen Stewart. For the
Mhm.
first time.
And Penelope, by the way, her score, her composer got in, so that shows some extra support there. And it probably would have been an easy international feature nominee had the country submitted it.
So what if Kristen Stewart wins Critics' Choice and Lady Gaga wins SAG? Anyway, we'll keep an eye on that as things go. Best Actor was the only acting race that we were 5 for 5 in our prediction odds. It's Javier Bardem in Being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch in Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield in Tick, Tick, Boom, Will Smith in King Richard, and Denzel Washington in Tragedy of Macbeth. No real surprises here. Some people like myself had Leonardo DiCaprio in there. There was some other people on the bubble, but things kind of went how we expected. Do we think it's still Will Smith versus Benedict, Andrew Garfield? What do you think, Chris?
It's those 3.
Yeah.
That doesn't help anybody. It's not going to be Denzel. It's not going to be Javier to win. Tragedy. I don't know what to say. It sort of got in more in some places, but it still underperformed. King Richard overperformed to me. Didn't it get 6?
Yeah, 6.
So that's really good. Benedict might ride a big wave here. I mean, Power of the Dog is 12, the leader at 12. And he's got that perfect career going that a person his age wants to have, which is in popular movies and doing art house and critically acclaimed movies. And some are both. Spider-Man is both critically acclaimed and popular. So I don't know what to do. I think Andrew Garfield gave the best performance. I think he gave the most, the flashiest performance, which often they go with the flashiest. Benedict's is very restrained. Will Smith is pretty restrained, especially considering a lot of the roles he's had in his career. So it's right now I've got Andrew.
And Marcus?
I've been predicting Andrew for a long time, but Tick, Tick missing picture, it only got 2 nominations. That's not where you want to be on Oscar nominations morning. And I'm sure Daniel will mention this in a few seconds, but only 2 of these guys got in for picture, Cumberbatch and Will Smith. So for my money, I'm going to be looking at one of those 2. And I think everything Chris just said about Cumberbatch is true, but I just feel this love for Will Smith. And I think Will Smith is winning SAG. And when we see him get up on that stage and give a speech, it'll really be the first time he's won an acting award, like a major acting award.
But Benedict's going to win BAFTA.
I know, but I don't know. I'm feeling Will Smith at
And
this
that's
point.
4 days before voting starts. It could be. Two things. Well, one quick thing about each of those. Will Smith has not been able, I mentioned this last week, to campaign hardly at all. He's been shooting a movie in Louisiana. Maybe that changes now that the nominations are out. Maybe that's been his strategy all along. I think I'm getting in. I'm going to put all my efforts into, middle of February through middle of March. Benedict's already got an event lined up that we've been invited to tomorrow night. So he's already on the ball that Netflix is throwing. So
Will Smith
and
is
Andrew's
also
been everywhere. Andrew has been probably of the 20 actors nominated, probably been campaigning more than anybody.
And Will Smith, I just wanted to add, he's also a producer on his movie. So on the off chance that King Richard wins Best Picture, then he could win there.
Which, by the way, Bradley Cooper didn't get in here, but he is also another nominee this year for producing.
I think it's between Will Smith and Benedict. I think Garfield, who also it's my favorite performance in the category, but I think he needed that Best Picture nomination, especially up against Will Smith and Benedict Cumberbatch and how strong their films are. I've been predicting Will Smith the whole time, and I'm like, okay, I might consider changing when I see some signs of weakness in King Richard, and I just haven't. It's not only is he getting in everywhere, the film is doing well everywhere, sometimes better than expected. It got in Anjanou Ellis and the screenplay at the BAFTAs. It got, the editing nomination here at the Oscars, and Beyonce's song, her first nomination. And Anjanou Ellis, who missed at SAG, but got in at the Oscars. So like everything. Screenplay. Everything points to kind of or is still pointing to the King Richard coronation. And the problem for Cumberbatch is that if voters are going to give Power of the Dog Best Picture, which they very well might, it's looking increasingly likely, and they want to give it an acting award, Cody Smith-McPhee has just been gobbling everything up. So that could just be the place they go and give Best Actor to overdue Will Smith.
And isn't it weird that there's 10 Best Picture nominations and only 2 Best Actors in them and 0 Best Actresses? So
yeah, it's the least overlap. It's the least lead acting nominees from Best Picture nominees in 15 years. The last time was Helen Mirren in The Queen was the only lead acting nominee from 2006 that was in a Best Picture nominee. And this year, 5 out of the 10 Best Picture nominees have no acting nominations, which I haven't checked that, but I'm not sure that's happened.
Think about that too, when she did that, and it's happened before, but it's very rare because most films are kind of geared around those leads, obviously. And when she did it, there were only 5 Best Picture nominees. So and now there are 10. You would think more leads would get in.
It's crazy. If we move on to Best Supporting Actress, now we expected some chaos here, and there was. The nominees were Jessie Buckley in The Lost Daughter, Ariana DeBose in West Side Story, Judi Dench in Belfast, Kirsten Dunst in Power of the Dog, and Anjanou Ellis in King Richard. So the big story here, well, first of all, Jessie Buckley getting in. I predicted that, so I'm going to brag about one thing that I did right this year. But the big story was Katrina Belf missing out. When I put Jessie Buckley in, I would have never thought that Belf would be the one missing and that Dench would be replacing her. So Marcus, what are your thoughts on Katrina?
Right. I was kind of pre-writing an article. Sometimes, outlets do that, where I was saying, Katrina Balfe just got her first Oscar nomination. And so when they read out the 5 names, and I'm like, okay, so she has 5 co-nominees. Like, why did I write down 5 nominees? And then I'm like, oh, Katrina Balfe's name is not on this list. So she got Critics' Choice, SAG, BAFTA, Golden Globe. She got all of them and she missed. Like, she must be feeling pretty bad today. But another one that missed was Ann Dowd. Our beloved Ann Dowd didn't get it. And I don't think Mask got anything today.
Nope.
But in terms of the win, I've been saying this for a while. This is Ariana DeBose's category. I can't see anyone else beating her. And I mean, yes, West Side Story didn't do as great as we thought it would, but it still got, what was the number?
7.
Still got 7 nominations, which is tied with Belfast. I mean, come on, seven is nothing to sneeze at. So she's going to be my pick from here to the end. She already won the Globe, which was not televised. So I really want to see her win SAG so we can get her on a stage.
Yeah. How about you, Daniel?
I was really disappointed for Katrina Balfe. And it's like I said in the Best Actress race with Lady Gaga getting snubbed. You know, Judi Dench didn't need this nomination. She's an Oscar winner. She has a bajillion nominations. She's not going to win this one. And she had, much less screen time than Katrina Balfe. So I really wish they'd have given it to Katrina Balfe. It reminds me of when they nominated Kathy Bates for Richard Jewell over Jennifer Lopez in Hustlers. It's like, you couldn't give Jennifer Lopez the Oscar nominee label. So I'm disappointed in that. I'm disappointed that Ruth Negga didn't get in, but I was already kind of bracing myself for that one because she was going to be the only nominee for that film. And we see it happen a lot where if they're not watching your movie for anything else, it's probably not, going to end up happening in the end. But yeah, I'm picking Ariana. Though I do think with the way their films performed relative to each other, I think Kirsten Dunst is closer to Ariana than she was before this morning.
Yeah.
I can't imagine going against Ariana all the way to the finish line. She probably will win SAG and BAFTA. The one thing that stands out, every year we talk about on any award shows, that apple in the barrel of oranges. You got 4 first-time nominees here and the legendary Judi Dench. Is it possible that, that they just go, I don't really know much about these 4, but I love Judi Dench. And she's in a Best Picture nominee, as are several here. I guess all 5 are here, unlike the other, no, not The Lost Daughter. And we will have no knowledge of it at all because she's not been nominated anywhere else. So if they are thinking that, we will have 0 heads up.
She's like the Michael Shannon in Nocturnal Animals, how Aaron Taylor Johnson gets in a couple places and then Oscars just swaps him out.
Right. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, but I can't imagine going against Ariana. It's the same thing as Andrew Garfield, not because it's a musical performance, because it's the showiest. And they often go showiest.
Yeah, I think she's the front runner, and to me, she's the most solid in terms of most likely to win, and out of anyone in the acting categories. For supporting actor, we have Ciarán Hinds in Belfast, Troy Kotsur in Coda, Jesse Plemons in The Power of the Dog, J.K. Simmons in Being the Ricardos, and Cody Smith-McPhee in The Power of the Dog. So here we had 2 surprises. Again, J.K. Simmons really came out of nowhere with this one. A lot of people, including myself, I'm happy to see Jesse Plemons did get in there, but J.K. Simmons. So when you look at these, it's kind of easy to see we shouldn't be underestimating these former Oscar winners because every category has someone that was on the bubble that got in. So actress has Penelope Cruz, actor has Javier Bardem, supporting actress is Judi Dench, and this one is J.K. Simmons. We've got these Oscar winners that when there was any weakness at the bottom, they got in. So where do you guys stand on this category, and who do you think is the front runner at this point, Chris?
Well, I also had Jesse getting in. That was one of my better picks that I tried to look at everything going in. I had Mike, is it Feist? West Side Story. Also thinking both, got in at BAFTA kind of surprisingly. And I didn't have J.K. Simmons. I thought if J.K. was going to make a run, he didn't have to get in everywhere. I thought he would for sure get in at SAG, playing an actor and so forth. So that's why I didn't think that was going to happen. I do think it's Cody. But we always talk about a vote split and how it normally, if somebody's really the front runner of the 2 from the same movie, like Sam Rockwell, Woody Harrelson, or something like that, it really doesn't hurt you. I do think Jesse might take a few votes away. And when you have a really strong second that we're all thinking it's either Cody or Troy, if Jesse just takes a tiny number of people away. Troy could win this.
Yeah.
It might be Coda's only shot at a win too. And we've seen in several recent years, especially since there have been 10 nominees, that quite a few movies wind up getting at least one Oscar. And this is probably Coda's only chance.
Daniel, what are you thinking on about this one?
I think I'm keeping Cody out front for now. I think this is a race where, like, if Cody wins SAG, and like that'll keep his momentum going. Troy needs to build momentum, and if Troy gets an opportunity to be on a stage, like a very, because his Gotham Awards speech was incredibly lovable, but not that many people watch the Gotham Awards. So if he gets up on a stage and has a lot of people watching him, like, he could be like Ye Jung-yoon and just charm everyone into giving him that Oscar.
I was already thinking about this. Let's say he doesn't win SAG, but the cast does. If that cast doesn't let him be the one to speak, they're just dumb. You've got to capitalize on those moments. And there's not another Coda cast member that's nominated at the Oscars. You've got to let him have that shot. Now, if he wins SAG, then I would like to hear somebody else give the ensemble speech. I hate it when they've worked all that out and then somebody wins, an early award, and then they come back and they have to do the ensemble one too. But if he loses to Cody, I would, and Coda wins, Cody and Coda, I'm getting all this mixed up. If Coda wins ensemble, I think they ought to let him speak and let that be his Oscar tryout, his audition.
And one of the interesting things about these categories, now that I think of it, is that there are two pairs of real life partners nominated for lead and supporting. You've got Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem both nominated for lead, and Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons both nominated in supporting. So they won't have to figure out who they're taking to the Oscars.
We got a note from the Academy today with a bunch of trivia, and I think they said there had been 6 prior times.
A married couple. Yeah.
Not like over their careers, but like on the same year like this.
Yeah.
Just want to think.
And Dunst and Plemons aren't
In
married,
acting.
so they're.
We've had a lot of Joel Cohen and Frances McDormand. I mean, one's director, producer, writer, one's actor. I'm talking about in acting categories.
Yeah, and since Plemons and Dunst aren't married, they weren't on that list technically, but they sort of count.
I just want to thank BAFTA for putting Jesse Plemons on my radar. I did not have him in my predictions until they put him in. And then I look at it and I'm like, well, of course he's going to get in. And I forget who I took out, maybe Jamie Dornan, I think. But I did not have J.K. Simmons, obviously. But I saw this movie with you, Chris, and afterwards I said, J.K. was one of the best parts of that movie, but it's just so hard to predict someone for the Oscar when they miss out on almost everything else leading up to it. So that's why I didn't have him, but he was one of my personal picks.
Has there been a movie in a long time with 3 acting nominations and nothing else?
I think the closest was Doubt, which had the 4 acting nominations, but it also had like a screenplay bit. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that there's been The Master had. Oh no, I think The Master had 3 acting and nothing else. I think it was.
Well, that was not.
I don't think
that.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think that was one of those unusual Paul Thomas Anderson movies that didn't get in for writing.
Speaking of him, is he going to win finally? It's like an A-B race. It's like one or the other.
His problem there is that Licorice Pizza kind of underperformed. It didn't get in editing. It didn't get in either of the actors who were on the bubble. He's overdue, but so is Kenneth Branagh, and Branagh's film is a stronger Best Picture contender. So,
but the 3 that Licorice Pizza got are all him.
Yeah.
So he's added 3 more to his tally for his career of not winning an Oscar. So, but Kenneth Branagh probably not winning director. I'm sorry, Sir Kenneth.
No, he's not winning.
He could win picture.
Yeah.
So they may think, okay, screenplay. This is like his 8th, right?
He's been nominated
6, 7, 8
times. He's been nominated 8 times across 7 categories, which is a record. No one has ever been nominated in that many different categories. The only category so far he's repeated in actually is directing. He got in.
Well, and now that everybody's voting on every category, the actors may really want to see another actor like Emerald Fennell last year and others that we've seen up there. Jordan Peele getting that screenplay award.
Maggie Gyllenhaal, Lost Daughter. I have that winning adapted.
No.
No.
Jane Campion's got that on more of a lockdown than director, I think. You think?
Actually, you may be right.
Yeah. If she was in original, then she'd be winning original. I mean, we wouldn't even be talking about Branagh and Anderson. But Villeneuve, come on. I mean, that was the most. I had him in second because I thought, it's probably going to be the nominations leader, and it's a very directorial movie, as all of his movies are. Maybe he picks up a win, in directing. He doesn't even get nominated.
It's such a first world problem because he got 2 nominations today for producing and screenwriting, and people are still like, no, he needed that third one, the directing one.
Oh, that's an interesting one because I predicted and he was in our top 5 in our odds, so a lot of people were Ryosuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car to get in for director, and all this time I was trying to figure out, okay, who do I take out, and it was between Spielberg, Paul Thomas Anderson, and Branagh. I never actually considered taking out Villeneuve, but it turns out that Dune, this is this year's Inception. That was a sci-fi film, got tons of nominations, Best Picture nomination, Screenplay nomination, but surprisingly kind of missed Best Picture despite being this technically really demanding and audacious film. So I think if Dune Part 2 receives similar acclaim and gets similar traction, I think that could be Villeneuve's turn.
But if somebody had given you advance warning and said, Licorice Pizza is going to underperform, wouldn't that have helped you take Anderson out and have the 5? It was basically down to those 6. Anderson got in at DGA, but we all felt like Drive My Car would come in on the slot. And I kept thinking, well, Anderson will be the one that falls out.
Yeah, I was thinking by the time we got to Best Director in the Oscar announcement, I was thinking, oh, they're taking out Spielberg because West Side Story hadn't done great, and then Spielberg pops up as the last nominee, and I looked over the list.
Practically every director in the director's branch, though, grew up watching Spielberg movies, so I never really thought about him as falling out. I wondered about Kenneth Branagh, if they might think, well, they'll take care of him over in producing and writing, and maybe we won't have to do that in directing or something. I think I had him in 4th, but I had Paul Thomas Anderson in 5th, so that didn't work out.
And while we still have time, we should talk about picture. I mean, before today, I think there was a question about Power of the Dog versus Belfast, but Power of the Dog with those 12 nominations, and it's the only one with editing and directing.
And writing
and picture and writing and
acting.
4 actings.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't want to say it's a done deal, but it seems pretty done-ish to me.
I agree with you now. I didn't think so for the last few weeks, but everybody else missed something, I think, critical, and they didn't miss anything.
Yeah, it's tricky because there's been an exception to almost every rule. So I still wouldn't rule out Belfast because all it missed was editing, and Birdman did manage to do that. But Birdman is the only film in 40 years to miss editing and win picture.
And it was so obvious.
Titanic
it was that one-shot film. So it's kind of even an asterisk by that one.
Yeah, Titanic is the only movie in the last 60 or 70 years to win picture without a writing nomination. And directing is actually the most common to miss and still win Best Picture because we had Driving Miss Daisy and then Argo and then Green Book. So that's surprisingly the least dire miss if you're going to miss one of them. But yeah, Power of the Dog having all of those and then getting into places it wasn't necessarily a sure thing for. Production design was a surprise because it didn't even get in at the Guild, I don't think. Best sound, which
I thought sound was and I'm not taking away anything from anybody that got nominated today, but it seemed like a very quiet movie to me. I didn't think about the sound when I finished watching it.
Yeah, that's one of my few bragging rights is I got Power of the Dog for Best Sound because I was looking across the guilds and between the the Motion Picture Sound Editors and the Cinema Audio Society, which films got in at both places. And I think Power of the Dog did get nominations from both. So I'm like, okay, and it's like the Best Picture contenders, so I put it up in there. So that's one of the few things I got right. I also got Tick Tick Boom right in editing, so my score was not very good. I just want to let people know that I'm smart about two things.
I think we all have Dog and Belfast in our number 1 and 2 positions, but I'm surprised by what I put in number 3. I put King Richard in number 3. That editing nomination really, I don't know if it came out of nowhere, but it surprised me. And it also got a screenplay and 2 acting. And I think Chris said earlier, it overperformed. It definitely overperformed. So I think, it's not out of the running to win Best Picture. And I think it could happen.
Yeah, I have it in third.
I'm with you. I think King Richard. And then I went with those same stats looking at the editing and the writing. You got Licorice Pizza and Dune. So I'm up there with those long-standing stats with the rest of you. Does anyone else have any below the line craziness that you just predicted off the wall that you want to brag about?
I want to mention Spider-Man should have gotten more than 1 nomination. It got visual effects. I mean, this is the movie that saved the box office during COVID, and they could have thrown it a couple more bones. I mean, I had it in sound, just maybe it's very loud. Best Picture was a possibility. I think it was in the top 20 at Gold Derby. I would have loved to see some more love for Spider-Man.
I was looking at my list here. I
was happy to see Nightmare Alley get in. I wasn't smart enough to pick it, but I love that movie. So I was glad it made the top 10, even though it sort of underperformed else. Well, I don't know if it underperformed. It wasn't expected to do.
We got 4. It got 4, and I love that movie. That was in my top 5 for the year. I kind of like that song category. I always look at that.
Mhm.
That could be a really fun night if they allow the people to perform. You got Billie Eilish.
They're
Reba
gonna beg the
McEntire would
people to
perform
perform.
the Diane Warren, Lin-Manuel. The people that do that in the movie aren't really known, so maybe would do that one himself. Beyonce.
Well, I think the singer of that song, the Encanto song, is actually like a fairly big star in Latin American music. So
okay,
they might let him do it.
The one I worry about is Van Morrison, who's had a history in his career of even committing to things and then not showing up. So will they be able to get him to commit to it and then actually be there? He didn't show up for his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame many years ago. So
by the way,
if only for the chance to get Beyonce and Billie Eilish on their stage, they're going to perform the Oscar songs on the telecast.
In terms of who will win Best Song, a lot of people have No Time to Die, but I think it's going to be Encanto. And I know Bruno was the big song, and it didn't even get submitted, but the voters aren't going to care. I mean, the Encanto soundtrack itself has been number 1 on Billboard. So
and she got in, the composer got in, and
And
she was not.
yeah.
She was not in the top 5, maybe the whole way. So that was a late breaking, based on the soundtrack hitting number 1, as well as the movie being so popular and being on Disney Plus. I would love Lin to win. I mean, he would be a perfect EGOT. It'd be number 17, so that would be a fun moment.
Yeah, No Time to Die is not a slam dunk by any means. She's a understated singer. This is not the same thing as Adele and Sam Smith. She's got stronger competition against Best Picture nominee contenders and the frontrunner of an animated feature, which you can never discount that. So I'm with you guys. I think Encanto could actually be the front runner, and it's up for grabs. And how about Diane Warren again? I mean, I put her in because I didn't have her for the longest time. Then I was like, you know what? I know they're going to do this. So I put her in, and sure enough, here she is. What is this?
Yeah.
13th?
Maybe 14th. Yeah, her, I thought, I was pretty sure she was going to get in, but I didn't know who to take out. And I didn't want, in the off chance that she didn't get in, I didn't want to take out a correct prediction and put in a wrong one. So I'm like, if I get 4 out of 5 for song, I'll be fine. And that's actually what happened. I got 4 out of 5. I had Just Look Up from Don't Look Up getting the spot that went to Diane.
And Luca, one of our freelancers, Luca wrote an item on long shots he was predicting. He was predicting Diane Warren, so I'll give him credit for that.
All right, should we wrap things up?
Yeah, thank you all for watching. It's been a long, long day, as we mentioned. You got now 6-7 weeks to vote or make your predictions on the Oscars. There's also 20-something other events, every single Guild Award, BAFTA, Critics' Choice, Grammys, reality shows. Go into the Prediction Center and just have a good time. Most of these events, not Oscars, but most of them have a $100 Amazon gift card as a prize if you are the #1 predictor. So please jump in there and do that and give us your comments and thoughts all throughout Oscar season.